Let's now define exactly what Flexbox is, when we need it, and why we use it. We also learn some important Flexbox terminology and get an overview of main properties that are part of Flexbox specification. So in one sentence, Flexbox is a set of related CSS properties that we can use to build one-dimensional layouts. When Flexbox was introduced, one of its main goals was to allow the browser to automatically distribute empty spaces inside a container among its child elements. Previously, developers often had to manually calculate widths, margin, and other spacing values. With Flexbox, much of this work happens automatically. Flexbox also makes it extremely easy to align items inside a parent container, both horizontally and vertically. We already saw this in the previous lecture when we used Flexbox to vertically and horizontally center our elements. Flexbox therefore solves several common CSS problems, including vertical centering, equal height columns, distributing available space, aligning elements inside containers, creating one-dimensional layouts. Before Flexbox, many of these takes very much harder to implement. Flexbox also provides a modern alternative to old school techniques of using floats for layouts. As a result, we can often write cleaner and more maintainable HTML and CSS. There are few important concepts that you need to understand before working with Flexbox. That is the Flex container. The element on which we apply Flexbox is called Flex container. We create a Flex container by setting the display to Flex. And that's it. The element of the display Flex becomes the Flex container. And all the direct children of the Flex container automatically become the Flex elements. The direction in which the Flex items are laid out is called the main axis. By default, Flexbox lay items horizontally from left to right. So by default, the main axis is horizontal. However, we can change the direction of the main axis using the Flex direction property. The axis perpendicular to the main axis is called cross axis. So when the main axis is horizontal, the cross axis is vertical. This terminology is very important because many Flexbox properties work by aligning and distributing elements along either the main axis or the cross axis. So whenever you are working with Flexbox, always ask yourself, which axis am I working with? Let's now look at the main properties that can be applied to the Flex container. Some of the most important ones are gap, that controls the spacing between Flex items, and justify content controls Flex items are distributed along the main axis. And another one is align items, that controls how Flex items are aligned along the cross axis. And the fourth one is Flex direction, that controls the direction of the main axis. And Flex wrap controls whether Flex items are allowed to move onto the multiple lines. And another one is align content, that controls the spacing and alignment of multiple Flex lines. These properties is mainly useful when Flex items are wrapped across multiple lines. Some of these properties, especially Flex wrap and align content, can be used for more advanced Flexbox techniques. For this beginner course, we will focus mainly on the fundamentals. If you understand the core Flexbox concepts, you can handle the vast majority of common layout situations. So now look at the properties that can be applied directly to the Flex items. The first one is align self, allows an individual Flex item to override the align items value defined on the Flex container. And the second one is Flex grow, that controls how much a Flex item is allowed to grow when there is additional available space. And the third one is Flex shrink. This controls how much a Flex item is allowed to shrink when there isn't enough space. And the fourth one is Flex basis, defines the initial size of the Flex item before the remaining space is distributed. And the fifth one is the Flex shorthand. We can use the Flex grow, Flex shrink, and the Flex basis, that can be all combined using the Flex shorthand property. Last one is order. It allows us to visually change the order of Flex items without changing their actual order in the HTML source code. This can be useful when we need to control the visual arrangement of elements while keeping the HTML structure unchanged. You don't need to memorize every property immediately. In fact, it's perfectly normal to use a Flexbox cheat sheet while you are learning. Once you understand the concepts of Flex container, Flex items, main axis, and cross axis, the individual properties become much easier to understand.